Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. All right, today we got some more 2A news for you. This one comes again from our friends at AmmoLand. I really love reading a lot of their articles because they really do try to be fair and objective when it comes to a lot of their views. And this one's probably going to get some feathers riled up. And you know what? That's okay. I've got some opinions I'd like to share of my own on this particular subject. We're going to dive right into this one here in a moment. The title is Donald Trump Jr.'s 2A task force needs closer scrutiny by gun owners. And this one was posted on April 28th by David Codria. Hopefully I pronounced your name right, David. Apologize if I butchered that. And this one's pretty interesting. We're going to dive into it. I would like to thank our friends at Sonoran Desert Institute for supporting our videos. If you're looking for a career in gunsmithing technology, definitely look into them. Their distance learning programs are amazing. They've got wonderful curriculum. Definitely check them out. If you're looking for a career and you need to know about gunsmithing, reloading, the business side, they've got a lot of great programs. Check them out. Sonoran Desert Institute, SDI, and tell them we sent you. Okay, we're going to dive right in. USA, AmmoLand.com. Donald Trump Jr. launches gun rights group, vows to fight Democratic gun control proposals, Fox News reports. The Second Amendment Task Force plans to build its operation around Trump's high social media visibility and following, as well as his national media appearances. Okay, doesn't sound too bad right off the cuff, does it? The Second Amendment Task Force is the first advocacy group that Trump has launched and been directly involved with, the report elaborates. The group plans to make a push in the upcoming midterm elections this year, especially in the voter registration sphere. Except it's not the first. Remember that Second Amendment coalition his father announced and made him chairman of back in 2016? The one he co-hired with the fired NRA, ILA, honcho, and bump stock regulator Chris Cox. If you don't recall that group, it's probably because it didn't actually do much of anything, and the webpage was taken down a half a year later. As for plans to make a push, it's fair to ask for whom. His father's Amit Oz pick comes to mind. Are there any other candidates gun owners may have concerns about? It's also fair to ask what this push consists of. The Fox News piece gave us plenty of high-sounding platitudes, but specifically, how will the entirely devoted Second Amendment Task Force ensure that the left is never successful in disarming American citizens? As an aside, that rhetoric is kind of hyperbolic. Ultimately, it's ensuring that they will never. Oh, I'm sorry, I misread. Ultimately, it's ensuring they will be something each of us will decide. Today, the group is laser focused on engaging grassroots activists to defend their constitutional rights, the task force website claims. Like a special ops team of advocates, the group rapidly mobilizes when Biden nominates personnel who could infringe on the Second Amendment and to oppose executive or legislative action that curbs the right of gun owners and families. All right, so before we get into this, I'll just mention as well, I do not agree with a lot of the things that Trump Sr. has done in the 2A sphere throughout his presidency. That's not a mystery, right? We know that the NRA backed Donald Trump. And that he was a huge candidate for them. He was the 2A candidate. Now, when we look at, let's just say, where the rubber meets the road, I mean, sure, Trump was on board with banning bump stocks. Trump stated it more than once that I don't like suppressors. I'd like to see something done about suppressors, right? He supported red flag laws, right? Take the guns first, due process later. Now, Junior, on the other hand, does seem to be pretty well grounded in terms of 2A. I mean, objectively, that is a fact. I mean, when you look at his social media presence, he's not afraid to talk about pro-gun subjects. He's not afraid to put himself out there in terms of being pro-gun. But I suppose the giant question at hand here is, when Donald Trump Jr. says, let's see, like a special ops team of advocates, the group rapidly mobilizes, a special ops team of advocates. Donald Trump Jr. Banned me on Instagram for talking about some of the things that his father had supported in terms of gun rights violations, right, over the years. So advocates. Well, what type of advocates? The kind of advocates that ban people that just state the facts and are just trying to be fair? Those type of gun advocates? Or the type of gun advocates that you're going to carefully choose to parrot a very specific narrative? I wonder. So continuing the article, what group? Who is on board with this, and might we check their credentials? The only name that is listed under our team is Trump Jr.'s. And while gun owners should appreciate his efforts that helped sink the David Chipman nomination to head the ATF, many hands were involved in that and candidly did more. And if his task force truly lives up to its rapid mobilization claim, why have we and it been silent to date? That is being written on 4/28, by the way, on the new and equally threatening nominee, Steve Dittelbach. So on my Facebook page last year, when all of this business was really in the air, very heavy about David Chipman, I've shared some articles on Facebook that one of the articles reached over 750,000 people on Facebook. All right. Facebook's answer 2 weeks or so later was to ban my Facebook page. My Facebook page is still unpublished. I'll probably never get it back. I had 825,000 followers on my Facebook page, and when I started firing off about David Chipman, they silenced me. That is a fact. That is an objective, clear fact that I can readily and completely demonstrate, no problem, right? So, yeah, of course, a guy like Trump Jr. ringing the bell, yes, that's important. Of course, we need people like Trump Jr. ringing the bell. And I'm not saying that he's a bad person for going after Chipman. I saw many of the posts that Trump Jr. made in regards to Chipman. Congrats, that's awesome. But I do agree with the author of this article. Yes, many did more and many lost more. Is it to say that I lost my Facebook page because of those damning David Chipman articles that I shared? Well, I'll never know. They're not going to tell me. They refuse to respond back to me and give me a real reason for why they're pulling my Facebook page. And I'll probably never get that back. So it's always a 5 steps forward, 8 steps backward type of arrangement when it comes to the Second Amendment. And I wonder, are these people willing to put themselves out there in that way and understand that that's just the merciless way that this particular type of stuff is conducted, I guess would be my question. Fleshing out the details of the group, its organization, and specific efforts it intends to make is important because getting visitors to register and donate seems to be the purpose of the 2A Task Force homepage. That being the case, what does it intend to provide gun owners that they can't already get from established national and state gun groups? Considering that those groups also involved in activities like education, outreach, alerts, grassroots coordination, legislative efforts, and, importantly, mounting legal challenges. What unique return value, besides the occasional supportive tweet, editorial, or media appearance by Trump Jr., does this new venture offer that it makes it a superior donation priority? No one can argue that it doesn't help to have a high-priority personality using his bully pulpit to promote the right to keep and bear arms. One could also argue that attaching one's famous name to a hot-button issue, one that affects millions, yields significant personal and political returns. That's true. Look, I'm not going to say that having a guy like Trump Jr. in the corner of the 2A is a bad thing. That's an awesome thing. He seems like a pretty principled guy. He seems like the kind of guy that loves his kids and loves guns and loves to hunt and owns suppressors. I've seen many cans on some of his guns. So he seems like the kind of guy that's dialed in and gets it, So I can get behind that. It just kind of has this grift appearance to it. I mean, whereby a lot of us have been here the whole time and have been punching up the whole time. It kind of, when you look at like all the negative stuff that's going on with the NRA and then now this comes out, it's like what? So being involved with the NRA and getting A+ rating from the NRA is not enough? Is it not enough to support the NRA, who obviously parroted your father's every, praises when it comes to the Second Amendment? And then we see what your father actually did for gun rights, right? The argument may be, well, look at the things he didn't do to gun rights, right? But if you hold me at gunpoint and pull my wallet out and go, well, you have $10 in your wallet, I'm going to take $8, but I didn't take all of it. I left you with $2, so I didn't leave you with no money. It's still thievery, right? And that's where a lot of us feel about the situation. I mean, You will never hear a guy like me say that Donald Trump is not an amazing man. He is. To say that he is not a brilliant man would be a lie. He is a very brilliant man. Donald Trump is probably one of the best Americans to come along in the political sphere in a long time. I'm not going to deny that. However, don't piss on me and tell me it's raining either. Sure, it's great to see him proudly posing with an AR-15 and driving the left nuts. Good job. It would be greater to see him using his New York City concealed carry permit as a springboard to highlight how unjust and un-American it is to limit such permits to the cell-connected elites and to lead the charge for demanding change. For someone presuming to be a leadership voice for gun owners, it would be not just appropriate, but crucial for Trump Jr. to also explain in principle and detail. If he agrees his father has been flat out wrong on bump stocks, I hit that on the head, didn't I, earlier, where he agrees with his father on which gun laws should be enforced, why he didn't weigh in on red flag laws when his father said take the guns first, due process second. Whew. If he agrees with his father on raising the gun purchase age to 21, I did not know that. Interesting. How he differs from his father's White House position on where the right to bear arms comes from. The object here is not to attack him or to start a feud with his dad. It's to see if the guy who says he wants to lead us, knowing where he's going and why. It's also to see whose interest funds being solicited to bankroll that leadership really serve, and if that's the most effective way for gun owners to offset attacks against their rights. Note that the 2A task force donations are powered through WinRed, a GOP fundraising platform that has been dominated by Trump-related interests. They take their cut of the proceeds. We've all got to eat, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, the left, which benefits from its Act Blue counterpart, is trying to shut down WinRed with breathless allegations of irregularity, sorry, I'm a redneck, and politically motivated investigations by 4 blue state attorneys general. Like with speech, political opposition is seen as something to be smeared and canceled. Just to clear something up, because I won't be surprised to see this piece result in some would you rather have Joe Biden reactions, I got this task force news sent to me from a few different readers, and what they sent included some enthusiastic posts and videos from commentators with substantial numbers of followers. None of what I had seen dug any deeper and addressed the points this raises, and I believe gun owners ought to be able to evaluate all raising appeals against other deserving options before digging into limited personal resources. If you think Donald Trump Jr.'s Second Amendment task force is a serious contender for your financial support, feel free to explain why and persuade those of us who may not be convinced yet in the comments below. That article is from David Caudria. Very good. Excellent article, David. I think you're trying to be very fair, and I appreciate you being fair and being objective. I agree. I think that, many of us are of limited means. And, if you are going to spend your money to support a gun rights organization, is that to say that Trump Jr. has, the right honor in his heart in terms of how he's trying to go about this? I don't doubt that. I think the guy's pro-gun. I mean, you can tell that he seems, pretty much a model American, loves his kids, got a cool wife, likes guns, seems to love the outdoors, seems to spend a lot of time with his kids. I think we can all agree that that's a person who probably has the rights of self-preservation at its heart, most dear, right? I don't doubt that for one moment. What I do doubt, though, is, the swamp mechanism at play, and that when you look at a lot of these gun groups that are out there, they almost have this grift type of vibe about them. And I'm not going to say that they're not getting good work done, because, many of them are. And at the end of the day, of course, you have to, in order to, go to court appearances and go to Capitol Hill and send lobbyists and to travel all around the country and go knock on doors and to hold conferences and meetings. In order for that to replace your normal job, you've got to have money in order to get out there and conduct those fights. When you look at people like FPC, yes, they have a laundry list of random lawsuits that they've got that lawsuit machine just burring like crazy and just spitting out lawsuit after lawsuit, and all those injunctions and all that paperwork to file it and to follow up on it. Yeah, it costs a lot of money to do that. So I think it's very reasonable for a person to say, hey, yeah, you've got a famous name, but that name also has some infamy attached to it when it comes to the Second Amendment. I mean, that objectively is a fact, right? You cannot ignore that. And while I think that Trump Sr. is an honorable person with honorable intentions, as they say, the road to hell is always paved with good intentions. So I think it's smart to always, get a closer look at what's going on, right? I mean, like, I'm shadow banned on IG, right? I'm blocked by some of these people on IG, right? My Facebook page was shut down for going after the nomination of David Chipman. So, where's the skin in the game? Where's the sacrifice? I mean, I'm not going to say that everybody's not doing their job. They are. But, some of us have paid dearly. And, I'd like to see some of that remedied in some way, shape, or form. If these people, you go on Facebook and these people got blue check marks and they got their verification and all that good mess or whatever. Well, where's the buddy phone call? If you need this crack team of 2A advocates, then why are you going to sit by and let someone like me, one of the largest voices, be silenced on the platform like that? So it just kind of makes you wonder, where the true allegiance lies, not only with all these gun rights organizations, but just people in general. It seems like they have such a head in the sand type of complex when it comes to these things. Like, it's almost like a lot of people would just be happy for anything to happen just as long as they don't have to directly do anything about it. So will I support this organization? I will. If Trump Jr. reaches out to me and wants to try to make amends and maybe we got off on a bad foot or whatever, or if he wants to, come on the channel and talk about his commitment to the Second Amendment community and talk about some of the stuff that his father's done and his reasonings for it and whether or not he supports some of it, I would be happy to have him on my channel. And I'm not going to pass judgment against the guy or anything like that, but I think the author of this article is smart to kind of question, hey, when something like this pops up, what are the deeper meanings? And I think those deeper meanings were put out there in a very concise way. You can't ignore those things. You have to confront them. And when something negative comes about that you may end up being a party to or a part of, right, in this particular situation, if you're going to use the Trump name to ring the dinner bell of the Second Amendment, I think it's worth noting some of the previous transgressions, what those are, and knowing exactly where the Trump family stands on that. I think that's a very, small thing to ask, honestly, when it comes to it. So anyway, have yourselves a great day. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. A big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. You guys are amazing. Thanks for being a part of what we do. Go over to Ballistic Inc. and pick yourself up a snazzy new t-shirt. That's one way you can support the channel directly if you wish to do so. Have a good one. Many more videos on the way. We'll see you soon.